Should be working. All right.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Anybody? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day, hump day, hump day.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this bi-weekly Wednesday show that me and Franz do called Into the Light. I am having some camera issues, so just stand by for that. Hopefully I can get it worked out throughout the program. But I'd like to take this time to welcome back Franz.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be back. Yet another 2 weeks down.
Yeah, it's going by quick, ain't it?
It has been, yeah. Almost the change of the season, but not really.
Yeah.
So I got some slides. Got a show ready. A presentation.
Awesome.
Hopefully it's not too confusing, but I'm gonna kind of start off in a little searching that I did, and I'm going to just show you and tell you about the circle and just try to explain what I see and what I get out of it. We're going to make a couple big circles here, but let's start it off.
All right, sounds good, man.
Since we started this, I've been using always the same. Nothing new under the sun, and it's basically what this all is. It's just showing some nothing new under the sun. It's always the same. And I'm gonna start off with it's called the gay bomb. And no, not like saying the F bomb. It's literally a government bomb. The gay bomb and halitosis bomb are informal names of two non-lethal psychochemical weapons that the United States Air Force research laboratories speculated about producing. The theories involving discharging sex pheromones over enemy forces in order to make them sexually attracted to each other. In 1994, Wright Laboratory in Ohio, a predecessor to today's United States Air Force Research Laboratory, produced a 3-page proposal on a variety of possible non-lethal chemical weapons, which was later obtained by the Sunshine Project through a Freedom of Information Act requests. They also have a patent on it. So they say it was just speculated about producing this thing, but they have a patent on it. And they have psychochemical weapons, a lot more than you think. And it isn't something new that they've been doing. In both of these leaked documents, the possibility of canvas that a strong aphrodisiac could be dropped on enemy troops, ideally one which would also cause homosexual behavior. The documents describe the aphrodisiac weapon as distasteful but completely non-lethal.
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you trying to screen share?
Am I not?
No.
All right.
Just wanted to give you a heads up. If just
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Dude, so it's an aphrodisiac?
It's an aphrodisiac bomb.
A bomb?
But not in a bomb in the sense like it just blows up, you know?
Yeah.
It you know, in those condensation trails you see a lot. You know, or in a water supply or a food supply.
Gotcha. So like chemtrail and stuff?
Correct.
Gotcha. I'm gonna send you this video later that I just watched from an old news interview about HARP.
Really?
Yeah, it was very interesting, man. Before they were like trying to cover stuff up, these guys were totally blowing up this spot, man. It was good.
Yeah, and it goes beyond just biochemical. It does go into frequencies, but basically we'll get into some of that too. Okay, here we go. Okay, so this aphrodisiac gay bomb or gay weapon, like I said, they cover it up as it was just basically ideas that they could do it, but they've been doing it, and have done many things like that, and have tested it on us, the population. Okay, and publicly in 2002, a biologist, Dr. Tyrone Hayes, conducted a series of experiments that revealed that the most common herbicide, atrazine, feminized male frogs. Okay, so
Whoa, really?
yes, at concentrations below that allowed drinking water in the United States. So it's hypothesized that atrazine works as an endocrine disrupting chemical,
Wow.
converting your testosterone to estrogen in frogs. So the test was contaminated drinking water, and it's tested against, towards population drinking water. And what they were testing the water in the supply to the frogs was below what's in public drinking water to all our population.
Wow.
And, human and frogs are two completely different species. But if you don't remember, presentation about the xenobots that they were taking frog cells, and this was making a biological robot with frog cells, so frog cells could go through a human body. So I'm not saying humans and frogs are exactly the same, but yes, you can do psychological and biochemical things to each one and the same.
That's creepy, man.
So an endocrine disrupting chemical is there substances in the environment, air, soil, and water supply, food sources, personal care products, and manufactured products that interfere with the normal function of your body's endocrine system. So they're trying to, lean towards it being, it's in the environment, but they're in there, and they've been, doing environmental engineering. These endocrine disruptors, sometimes also referred to as hormonally active agents, endocrine disrupting chemicals, or endocrine disrupting compounds, are chemicals that can interfere with your endocrine system. The disruptions can cause cancerous tumors, birth defects, and other developmental disorders. So not only can it change your chemistry, your testosterone. What's a developmental disorder that has quadruple or spiked since we were kids, like autism?
Oh yeah, that's gone up a ton.
Asperger's.
Yeah. Childhood cancer has gone way up.
Okay. The government laboratory here, and these are tests that are the U.S. Air Force biological laboratories, pulling some of this information from 30s and the 40s. Okay, so what does body odors have to do with that? Right? Remote engineering your body odor, or your effects of how odor from the opposite sex, right? Involving compounds found in halitosis and hyperhidrosis was another possibility discussed. Again, a possibility. These effects would be produced by a non lethal chemical weapon, possibly one that would affect the hormonal and digestive systems. It appears that heavy sweating bomb, flatulence bomb, and halitosis bomb were all also considered by a committee at this time. This time was back in the 40s. The plan was to make an enemy so smelly they could be quite literally sniffed out of hiding in their opponents. So that's a fairy tale version of what they would be using this sweating bomb or farting bomb, you know. So they're basically just releasing a chemical on the population.
So
Some
they
fart,
stink?
you know. Yeah. So, but now that is what they're telling you. But think about like how pheromones, you know, and it triggers you to react to who's around you, right?
Yeah.
You smell a female, the most gorgeous female you've ever seen. Your body chemicals, your chemistry starts changing. You sweat, okay? So ones, if they release the chemical that makes you sweat and fart and screw up your pheromone sensors, and next thing you know, you're attracted to a birch tree.
Well, I like birch beer, but
But you know what I'm saying, right?
yeah.
And so you know, like it's basically saying they can release these chemicals to create people's unknowing perversions, distort their chemistry. Okay. And these things took place in the Wright Laboratory. All right, the laboratory was a research and development organization operated by the United States Air Force Material Command on Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, starting in 1990. So these laboratories, they started them in the 20s, even earlier. They just changed names and places or different Air Force base. Right? And it says here the laboratories were eventually merged into Air Force Research Laboratory in 1997. The laboratory was named after the Wright brothers, the American pioneers in aviation and the namesake of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And down here in the bottom is their crest, if you would say. Every agency has one of these. But why does our Air Force have laboratories? You know, I thought they were all about flying. So let's look into the Air Force Research Laboratory. It's a scientific research organization operated by the United States Air Force Material Command, dedicated to leading the discovery, development, and integration of aerospace warfighting technologies, planning and executing the Air Force science and technology program, and providing warfighting capabilities to United States airspace and cyberspace forces. It controls the entire Air Force science and technology research budget, which was $2.4 billion in 2006. Basically unlimited amount of money to do research or make whatever they want.
Oh my goodness, yeah, our government spends so much money on the most ridiculous stuff.
Well, and that was in 2006. You know that.
Yeah, it's probably quadrupled since then.
The laboratory was formed at the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Dayton, Ohio, October 31st, 1997. This was just basically some details to tell you, you know, to go along with how many times they've changed. It used to be called other things. And this is the Air Force Research Laboratory as well. And they also do the Department of Energy, United States America Department of Energy. It's executive department of the United States federal government that oversees U.S. natural energy policies and manages the research and development of nuclear power and nuclear weapons. The DOE oversees the United States nuclear weapon program, nuclear reactor production, the United States Navy, energy-related research, and domestic energy production and energy conservation. So again, what is the United States Air Force doing with nuclear? I mean, because they're going to carry a nuclear bomb. The DOE was created in 1977 in the aftermath of the 1973 oil crisis, which was a false flag like we have a lot of today over oil crisis and climate changes. It was one of the beginning false flag crisis to start the climate change. It sponsors more physical science research than any other United States federal agency, the majority of which is conducted through its system of national laboratories. DOE also directs research in genomics with the Human Genome Project. So again, why is the Energy Department, nuclear energy, also doing genome research and projects?
Because they want to, just like the Matrix told us, they want to turn us into the copper top.
Okay. and that's correct. What they were doing in the beginning was with these laboratories was testing and research on molecules, human molecules, and how to create ion to photon reactions out of your single molecules. So, yeah, they tested on how to make a molecule change the way they want and release the energy they needed from it or wanted from it. So genomics is an interdisciplinary field of biology focusing on the structure, function, evolution, mapping, and editing of genomes. A genome is an organism's complete a set of DNA, including all its genes as well as its heredital three-dimensional structural configuration. In contrast to genetics, which refers to the study of individual genes, their roles in inherence, genomics aims at the collective characterization and qualifications of all organism genes and their inheritance and interrelations and influence on the organism. Genes may direct the production of proteins which, with the assistance of enzymes and messenger molecules. In turn, proteins make up body structures such as organs and tissues, as well as control chemical reactions and carry signals between cells. Genomics also involves the sequencing and analysis of genomes through the use of high throughput DNA sequencing and bioinformatics to assemble and analyze the function and structure of their entire genomes. Advances in genomics have triggered a revolution in discovery-based research and systems biology to facilitate understanding of even most complex biological systems such as the brain.
So this is like, this is the backbone of mRNA.
Correct.
This is what 6G is going to be all about.
It's like you said, the backbone of CRISPR.
Yeah. Then it was talking about using the messenger molecules.
Right. And what they do is they make artificial strands of DNA, right, by CRISPR, cutting and edging, and then putting it into the genomics and sequencing of enzymes and messenger molecules to get the natural molecules to change to what they want. Basically, with a certain sound and the right chemical, a tadpole, they tested and done this. They could change a tadpole in the embryonic stage to a frog. So instead of becoming like a salamander, instead of becoming a salamander, they changed it into a frog. And the Human Genome Project was an international scientific research project with the goal of determining the base pairs that make up the human DNA and identifying, mapping, and sequencing all of the genes of the human genome from both the physical and the functional standpoint. Here it says it started in 1990 and was completed in 2003 and remains the world's largest collaborative biological project. But the planning for the project started in 1984 by the U.S. government. So basically there's multiple governments, countries involved.
That's 19 years, bro.
Yep.
Wow. That's crazy, man. It says excellent connection, so I'm just waiting to see it start moving around. All right, we are back. So you are good. I'm going to full screen this, so go ahead and just start over with this page because I think it was lost after that one.
All right. So I'm going to go back a couple slides just to, all right, we're with the chemistry, biological, the genome mapping, sequencing. So I got this list of the organizations, places, and countries that are involved with the United States and the Department of Energy doing all the genome mapping and laboratories. So we have the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the Wellcome Trust in Britain. It's an institute. Washington University of Medicine Genome Sequence Center in St. Louis, the DOE, Department of Energy. We have Baylor College of Medicine and Riken Genome Science Center in Japan, the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission, Genome Therapeutic Corporation, whose sequencing division is acquired by ABI. ABI is a Chinese company. And we have Germany, Department of Genome Analysts with the Fritz Lippmann Institute. The name changed from Institute of Molecular Biotechnology. Chinese Academy of Science, Institute of Systems Biology, the Stanford University, the Stanford University School of Medicine, University of Washington, Keio University, another Japanese university, University of Texas, Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry, University of Oklahoma, and it goes on another 3 or 4. All right, so BGI, right? Formerly Beijing Genomics Institute, is a Chinese genomics company and headquarters in Yitin District, Shenzhen. The company was originally formed in 1999 as a genetic research center to participate in the Human Genome Project.
1990. Oh my goodness, dude. 1999. That's 666, and look at the date it was founded. 99.
Mm-hmm.
So 99999. Yeah, okay. Dude, that's twisted.
You know, it's all in the namesake of researching what's good for everybody, right?
Yeah, you can say that.
All right. So then biotechnology, the concept of biotechnology encompasses a wide range of procedures for modifying living organisms according to human purposes. going back to domestication of animals, cultivation of the plants, and improvements to these through breeding programs that employ artificial selection and hybridization. Right? You understand? They're going to do what they have to do to make the plants to feed you.
Right. Well, speaking of which, dude, I was out shopping today and I picked up some sunflower seeds. I was like, oh, I like some roasted salted sunflower seeds. Turned it around. I was walking down the aisle. I was like, I'm gonna read the label. Good thing I did, dude. Totally bioengineered.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, you can even get nuts,
be surprised.
man.
You'd be surprised. We've been raised by grandparents and parents thinking like, avocados, tomatoes, and bananas and things like that are just natural fruit and food that are good for you. We'll get to that too. Modern usage also includes genetic engineering, as well as cell and tissue culture technologies. This is the same stuff that I was talking about with the xenobots. They were culturing, using technologies to make cultures of heart tissue and muscle tissue to make a biological robot. And the American Chemical Society defines biotechnology as the application of biological organisms, systems, or processes by various industries to learning about the science of life, and the improvement of the value of materials and organisms such as pharmaceuticals, crops, and livestock, and human batteries.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we count as like livestock.
We pretty much are.
Yeah.
So here's the American Chemical Society.
Is that a phoenix? It looks like a phoenix.
Yeah, it's rising out of some fire too, right?
Yeah. Wow, what a terrible logo, man.
They like it.
Apparently, yeah.
All right, so I jumped back to this page because we talked about ABI and the biotechnology. Now, let's look up FRITS, or here, ABI solid sequences. This is another laboratory, ABI. A library of DNA fragments is prepared from a sample to be sequenced and is used to prepare clonal bead populations. That is, only one species of fragments will be present on the surface of each magnetic bead. The fragments attached to the magnetic beads will have a universal P1 adapter sequence attached so that a starting sequence of every fragment is both known and identical. So like I was saying before about how they can create a molecule or a fragment of the strand of DNA and then send it into a living organism and have it replace that sequence in the natural DNA and have it known and do what it wants to do, get the same exact reaction every time identically. So this is like the backbone, as Jay said earlier, of cloning. They're cloning portions, strands of DNA. And yes, exactly a magnetic bead, a portion of DNA. They can, direct it where to go in this organism's body with magnetic beads.
Like graphene.
Exactly like graphene. Titanium chloride can also be used, but graphene is now becoming the number one manufactured product. They're starting to use graphene, graphite in so many things, and it goes along with we're going to make things stronger, building materials like cement stronger, and do good things to help you, right?
Yeah, like 10 years ago, graphene was all the rage, and then it vanished out of the public eye. They started doing all these black ops with it and stuff.
But they do, and now it's becoming public again. In like I said, the manufacturing industry. There's a company that dominates it, and it's one of the fastest growing companies. Period. It's called Black Swan graphite. But yeah, that's I don't have, other than me just saying it, I don't have anything about that in my slideshow. But so this is Fritz Lippmann. They named the institute after him. Fritz Albert Lippmann was a German-American biochemist and co-discoverer in 1945 of coenzyme A. For this, together with other research on coenzyme A, he was awarded a Nobel Prize in physiology.
Physiology.
You got it.
Yeah. I won the Nobel Prize. Yeah.
Come on. I just barely grew into these lips, okay? So this guy got a Nobel Peace Prize for creating a chemical that interacts with natural enzymes, controlling enzymes. Right? What is coenzyme and its function? A coenzyme is defined as an organic molecule that binds to an active site of certain enzymes to assist in the catalyst of a reaction. More specifically, coenzymes can function as intermediate carriers of electrons during these reactions to be transferred between enzymes as functional groups. So he developed a coenzyme, artificial enzyme, that can be a carrier of electrons. Right? And these electrons will go near a functional group of enzymes, and those electrons will make those enzymes, molecules, ions turn into photons. Basically, if the enzymes in your stomach have a job to break down bacteria or create new bacteria that is good for your digestive system, these carriers come in with the electrons to change the bacteria the enzymes create. So instead of good enzymes, it can make bad enzymes.
Yeah, they can pretty much, once they have this technology in you, they can pretty much do whatever they want.
They could, yeah, and that's where the flatulence bomb comes in.
Yeah, that sounds like an awful bomb. That gives a new definition to bomb. Who dropped a bomb?
And what started me on this search was the dispute over fluoride. Okay?
Yep.
You know, why is it a dispute? Because dentists and government says put it on your teeth, right? Because it's good for your teeth. Fluoride enhances generations of reactive oxygen and nitrogen species, oxidizes hemoglobin, lower antioxidant power, and inhibits transmembrane electron transport in isolated human red blood cells.
Yeah, that sounds like it's good for you.
It sounds more like what this Fritz guy was just doing.
Yeah. Yeah, why would anybody want that in their body?
And what is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is your white blood cells. White blood cells that, if you get a cut, coagulate and start creating a scab. But if it oxidizes it, it's going to create a blood clot in your bloodstream. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, fluoride's nasty stuff, man.
Yeah, horrible. So if someone is exposed to levels higher than this for a long time, it can cause a condition called skeletal fluorosis, in which fluoride builds up on the bones. This can eventually result in joint stiffness and pain, and can also lead to weak bones or fractures in older adults.
So, aren't teeth made of bones?
Correct.
So,
and again,
why would dentists
why in the
recommend
last
that?
20 years is there a huge spike in rheumatoid arthritis?
Right, and why would a dentist who's supposed to be looking out for your teeth want to put this bone weakening on your bone teeth?
So you keep coming back, right?
Yeah,
It's a luxury.
dude.
Why is dentistry a luxury, not a necessity? Just
Man.
say. And get this, we had to sign a paper to stop the school from fluoriding our daughter.
Yeah, I
Because
had to do that same thing.
the dentists come right in. They'll teach them how to fluoride. They got a special thing that they just open up, one use, put a layer of fluoride right on your teeth.
Remember when we were kids, they used to make us chew those red pellets? Right? Do you ever chew those?
Yeah.
Dude, they would give you those right in school, man. They
Yeah.
didn't even ask your parents. They could have cared less.
Yeah. I mean, I'm grateful for that. And and I'm like, I sent my daughter off, make sure to tell us if they do what we ask them not to do.
Right.
But I'm crazy to think this, fluoride is a problem.
Yeah, you're one of those conspiracy guys.
That's right. Everybody's against me. So fluorine, which is the 13th most abundant element in the Earth's crust.
Of course it is. Oh, man.
Widely dispersed in nature almost entirely in form of fluorides. Fluoride is released in the environment through volcanic emissions, airplanes,
Yeah.
weathering minerals, airplanes, manufacturing of fertilizers, again, airplanes, and fungicides, rodenticides. So,
Those are poisons.
right. So you don't get like black mold and other types of fungus around your house or mice in your house.
Or on your teeth.
And it comes from a coal power production. Fluoride is therefore widely recognized as an important natural industrial environmental pollutant. So put it on your teeth.
Yeah, that's a pollutant. And give it to your kids.
If you can ask Google what drinks have fluoride in them. Google answers water-based drinks. No joke. Here's the list of the top
tap
six.
water, man.
Yeah, black tea,
Yeah.
wine, grape juice, coffee. Well, and tap water. That's pretty bad. But tap water is, pretty bad. Soda.
Black tea, huh? Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, man. I drink number 4 as a job.
I know. I'm coffee, and I like. Just don't use tap water, and you can buy a filtration system. You remember those old, like you would go to like a picnic or a fair or whatever, and they had the coffee tent, and there was a huge stainless steel, like 5-gallon coffee dispensers. You can get those now as water filtrations, and it will filter out your fluoride.
Since we're on the topic of water filtration, I watched a documentary where every single water filter and purification was tested, and then they tested the parts per milliliter or whatever. And the company Zero Water,
right,
had absolutely zero particulates.
Filtration.
Yeah, so
Right.
that was the best one.
So, and if I say that you can do it, you don't want to go to Target or Walmart and get fill it up, and it looks like a Kool-Aid jug, and it just slowly drips, and then it's all good. Those, like you said, the filters are tested, and sometimes these filters and these mainstream main brand are actually adding more things than taking out.
Yeah, if you're gonna
the
get
thing
one
I
of
just
those kind, I
described
would
is
get
like
Zero Water.
right. Or like have you seen the new ones, the circle water bottles where you can put flavoring into them? Those are just as bad.
I saw this water bottle where you can it's like a smell thing. Have you seen that?
No.
Like the flavoring is from smell. It doesn't actually put it in your water. But when you suck it up, it blows the stuff through your nose so you can smell, and it makes
so
it
you're
taste.
smelling it as you're drinking it, and it tricks your brain. Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about with the biochemistry, biotechnologies.
That's so weird, man.
That is weird, and that's exactly what they've been doing the whole 1900s.
Man.
So, fluoride enzyme inhibitor. Many studies suggest that fluoride exposure can inhibit the activity of various enzymes. And how did I go from enzymes to fluoride? Well, here we go. The fluoride can actually affect the good enzymes in your stomach. It can generate free radicals, which interfere with antioxidant defense mechanisms in living systems.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of radicals in my belly.
They're free radicals, you know?
They're like, trans rights rule.
Yeah, right. You're creating little Chaz areas in your belly so you don't digest right. Oh, God. Okay, let's go on. Continuing with the government, and the government has done lots of tests and lots of things. So, creating gay pockets of population in the United States is not as fantasy. It is not make believe. It's true. Okay, and I'm going to run you through a few different things in the history that America has done. Okay, and this is a C-119 boxcar.
Of course
it's called.
It is. It's the 911 boxcar. Wow, man.
And these airplanes were used specifically to dust the Midwest with bacteria. And this was during Cold War era.
What? They don't do that, man.
They don't dust them. So they were testing what these bacterias, right? And Fritz he got the Nobel Peace Prize, Fritz did, for creating the catalyst to carry these bacteria into your body.
Because everybody died, so there was no war.
Oh, man. No, they were the threat of the Cold War. Just in case if they were going to release biochemical weapons, there was a smoke screen over the Midwest. They couldn't see where they were.
Yeah. There's so much peace.
Okay. So, I go. All right. I skip back there quick to make sure I didn't go ahead too far. The United States Biological Weapons Program. It officially began in the spring of 1943 on orders of U.S. President Franklin Roosevelt. Research continued following World War II as the U.S. built up a large stockpile of biological agents and weapons. But that would contradict the beginning when I said, the gay bomb, the fart bomb, the pheromone bomb is all speculative. But they have a stockpile of biological agents and weapons.
Oh, I'm sure they destroyed them after the war.
They don't have them anymore.
Yeah, that's old news, man. That's old.
It was just over the course of 27 years.
Yeah.
The program.
They threw them things out, man.
So they weaponized the stockpile of bioagents. It says 7. I don't think I did add it in here. No. All right. So unfortunately, the Bureau's method of assessing vulnerability. Right. So this bureau was created because they heard that other countries were testing biochemicals and bioweapons. So we better see what they're up to by starting our own. All right. So the Bureau's method of assessing vulnerability to their own population was to covertly attack those perceived vulnerabilities with germ warfare of its own over a period lasting 20 years from 1949 to 1969. Well-intentioned officials working for the Department of Defense repeatedly doused whole cities across America with chemicals, bacteria, and fungal spores that they were pretty sure would be mostly harmless.
We're pretty sure.
We're pretty sure it would be mostly harmless. Mostly.
Don't worry that we're dousing your whole city with this stuff. We're pretty sure it's harmless.
Just a few chemicals, some bacteria, maybe a fungal spore.
Oh my!
We're pretty sure he's mostly harmless. That's like, remember the Princess Bride when they brought Wesley to the witch doctor or whoever, and he's like, "Oh, good news for you. He's only mostly dead.
Yeah.
we can help him. He's not fully dead. He's just mostly dead. Don't worry, because the chemicals that mostly killed him are mostly harmless."
Yeah. No need to worry.
They're well-intentioned officials.
Yeah. I love how they word that. You're like, oh, okay. That's like those
All
people that go, I
makes
said
me
no
feel better.
offense.
But let's talk about why. They said we started because they started, and we needed to test on our own people. Right?
Gotta make sure it works, bro.
Right. Okay. So Unit 731 is Manchu Detachment 731, and also known as Kamo Detachment and Ishi Unit.
I love your little Chinese accent.
I have to. I don't mean to sound like a stereotype, but it happens sometimes.
That was funny.
All right, so it was to convert biological and chemical warfare research and development unit of the Imperial Japanese Army that engaged in lethal human experimentation and biological weapons manufacturing during the Second Sino-Japan War, 1937 to 1945, and World War II. The unit is estimated to have killed between 200,000 and 300,000 people.
Wow.
They were doing, testing mustard gas. They were manufacturing the chemicals for the United States Department of Defense. The same unit, okay? They're horrific. I don't want to go into it, but they killed a lot of people, and just to see what would kill a person, how long they could live before they died from stuff, okay? And what happened to these war criminals?
Probably nothing.
Exactly. The United States expunged all their war crimes and forgot about it, covered it up for what? For all their information and research information.
Brought them over here with the Nazis.
And they brought them over here, right?
Yeah.
You ever hear of the Japanese internment camps? Yes, they weren't internment camps. They were, dear, come camp out, hang out, buddy. Okay. In 1965, dermatologist Albert Kinman got a hefty $10,000 grant to study various chemicals on behalf of Dow Corning, Johnson & Johnson, and the United States Army.
Oh, my goodness, man.
His particular brief was to observe how human skin reacts to harsh chemicals, a process known as hardening. So where did your Japanese people go? Where did their information go? Where did their studies go? To us. We basically let them do it. All right? And this is him.
Ugh.
One of the chemicals we know Dr. King Klingman was testing was dioxin. It is the active ingredient in Agent Orange.
That's nasty stuff, man.
He was testing these chemicals on prisoners, our own civilians.
Yeah. Mad scientist.
Okay. We have other United States human experiments. The Manhattan Project, fatal radiation. While many know the Manhattan Project is the program that eventually produced the world's first atomic bomb, but few realize the project also sought to test the effects of radiation on human beings. A Manhattan Project researcher recreates the Demon Core.
Oh, what a clever name.
Another
Aren't
full
they
circle.
also involved with the Philadelphia Project?
That is 100%.
Yeah, I thought so.
And do you see this glass bottle?
Yeah.
What shape does it? What does it represent? You should be able to know the company.
Coke bottle, man.
It isn't just accidental.
Oh, I see. Yes.
They're shouting out to one of their funders. Okay. So here we go again. The Guatemala syphilis experiment. Here's a doctor from the Johns Hopkins examines Guatemalan men as part of a syphilis study in early 1950s. Speaking of Guatemala, what did our country do to Guatemalans? Right? It's called the Guatemalan genocide. It's also referred to as the Maya genocide or the silent Holocaust. Okay. If you think Mayan were extinct a few hundred years ago, you're wrong. This topic alone, the Guatemalan genocide, could constitute its own show. There's so much about it, but I'm going to give you the basics and show you some proofs here. So part of this whole story is from 1960 to 1996. So we were killing Mayans, the Mayan people, until 1996. By the U.S.-backed Guatemalan military government, massacres, forced disappearances, torture, and summary executions of guerrillas. That's what they explain them as, but they're indigenous Mayans, and especially civilian collaborators at the hands of security forces. So, how did our government create a Guatemalan puppet government? Well, the CIA provided intelligence, right, for the army war against guerrillas, farmers, peasants, and other opponents. And why are farmers, peasants, and guerrillas opponents to the Guatemalan puppet government? The CIA station chief in Guatemala from 1988 to 91 was a Cuban American.
War against farmers and peasants. That just sounds so wrong.
Right? Okay. Again, what is the CIA? Okay. We'll get to it. The army destroyed 626 villages, killed or disappeared more than 200,000 people, and displaced an additional 1.5 million, while more than 150,000 were driven to seek refuge in Mexico. These forced disappearance policies included secretly arresting or abducting people who would disappear, who often killed and buried in unmarked graves. In addition, the government instituted a scorched earth policy, destroying and burning buildings and crops, slaughtering livestock, fouling water supply, and violating sacred places and cultural symbols. Many of these actions were undertaken by the army, specifically through special units known as K-Bailes. So these special units were just killing brigades to go out and search for farmers, civilians, Mayans, erasing their history.
They were just killing everything. Plants, water, people, animals. My goodness.
And you know why? It was the United Fruit Company.
Yeah, to get a good handle on the hustle, man.
Well,
it's always about money.
Well, it's about the bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas are the bananas that we know and we can buy in the grocery store is not a naturally occurring type of banana. There's different species of banana, but we pretty much hybridized what we know as bananas today.
Yeah, they smell different. They taste weird.
They
smell weird.
So what is specifically talking about the early 1900s. But what started the United Fruit Company was a railroad company in the mid 1800s. So the 1954 Guatemalan coup d'etat was a result of a CIA covert operation codenamed PB Success. It deposed the democracy elected Guatemalan president and ended Guatemalan revolution, which this is also another false flag. All right, they were trying to destroy the democracy. These farmers were working for the fruit company because they were forced to. Right, the fruit company created the puppet government, so the government would vote or create legislation to hand over land and the rights, and they would even have this happen for land they didn't even want to use, just so that nobody else would use it. Nobody else could own it. Right? They were making and forcing through these legislations and policies and land ownership. They completely controlled all of Guatemala, even the post offices, the development of roads and railroads and farms. And what else cheap labor did they have enslaving these people? So the indigenous Mayans that were living in the mountains would, they were broken up into different ethnic groups. They were forced to believe they were this ethnicity and they were different from the other ones, but they were all Mayans. Right? So then you have farmers hating guerrillas and the guerrillas recruiting the indigenous mountain Mayans, and they were all fighting. And the mainstream kept creating things like the Guatemalan Revolution from 1944 to 1954. So they keep, they would have a dictator, like an imperial, right? And this time during this revolution, the dictator was calling himself the Guatemalan Hitler, which, the CIA and the United Fruit Company was totally okay with. It's what they wanted to control these uprisings of farmers and Mayans that they were killing and make them work and be happy working for them. So basically they were stealing the land, stealing the resources, stealing the fruit, and cheaply growing them and shipping them to our country. This talks about their power struggle, and from one imperial leader to the next, and they were just dictator murderers. Right? It's called the United Fruit Company, and we know it as Chiquita. So how is the CIA and the United Fruit Company tie in? Well, the former United States Deputy Director of Central Intelligence Agency, Alan Welsh Dulles, was the first civilian director of Central Intelligence Agency. Is a long-serving director in date. His brother was also the secretary, treasurer under Eisenhower. So they both worked in the government. This is the head of the CIA, okay? But let's add own stock. So I'm going to just search him again. United Fruit Company. This guy, he owns the company largest shareholder. He owns land, or he sits on the board of the United Fruit Company. And he's the CIA. So there was no stopping the fruit company in Guatemala and what they were doing. I think genocides are just silly, right? That doesn't happen.
No, for sure.
But it does. Okay. Of course, I'm not going to be loading now. Here we are. United Fruit Company. All right. You wonder where the name Banana Republic came from? from the United Fruit Company and all the places, all the small countries down there. 1871, the railroad entrepreneur Henry Meigs signed contract with the government of Costa Rica to build railroad connecting the capital of San Jose to the port of Limon in the Caribbean. He started with Minor C. Keith. This is the guy who started the fruit company, who had, his company wound up becoming in power of the CIA. That was a little before history, before what I was just talking about. And then I also left the United States Biological Weapons Program, because this will complete another circle for us. Because here's the list of the 7 things. That's it. There's the list. All right, the stockpile I was talking about.
Yeah.
Here's one. It's called Q fever.
Of course it is, dude. Oh, man.
It's a disease caused by infection, a bacterium that affects humans and other animals. The organism is uncommon, but may be found in cattle, sheep, goats, and other domestic mammals, including cats and dogs. Okay? It comes from ticks.
From a tick?
Yes.
Man.
Let's go down here to Cold War, and here's a testing ground for them. Right? U.S. Army facility established in 1942 to test biological and chemical weapons. It's just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. 13 miles square. So it's 13 miles south. Is there another test and training place? Okay, and then we have Plum Island. Plum Island is a town in South Suffolk County, New York. The island is situated Gardenese Bay, east of Orient Port. It's off of Long Island. And why is this? It come into play? Why is Plum Island? Because you ever heard of Lyme disease?
A couple times.
Okay, so this is where the laboratory is that has the Q fever, and that they are creating ticks and have been. Okay, this is where they created the disease that rides on ticks. And the first case of a human contracting it was right over the bay in Connecticut in a town called Lyme.
Oh, all right.
Right? That's where Lyme disease came from.
Yeah.
They created it along with this Q fever. You know what else is right near that island? It's the second one of 2 ion colliders. It's in the Brookhaven National Laboratory. So the only other one of the 2 is in Geneva. Right? That's CERN.
Yeah.
A hadron collider. There's only 2 ion hadron colliders. And this one is on Long Island. This is the picture of it on Long Island.
Yeah, it looks just like CERN.
Mm-hmm. In the Q.
Yeah.
It's got the Phoenix. That's the name of this one over here. Just thought that was another one. I had to throw that in there too. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow. I threw this in the last minute too. I wanted to talk about, again, back in the 40s. Nothing new under the sun. These are a few people that wrote various things. This guy, Huxley, this is classified as a fiction book, sci-fi, but he basically predicted what the government was going to do. And here's most of the things that can be done with and to a person in hypnotic trance can be done with and to a person in light sleep. Some verbal suggestions can be passed through the cortex to the membrane, the brainstem, and the autonomic nervous system. If these suggestions are well conceived and frequently repeated, new patterns of feeling can be installed and old ones modified. Post-hypnotic commands.
Post-hypnotic.
I read that so silly. As soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, there we go. Like I said. All right, so post-hypnotic commands can be given. Slogans, formulas, and trigger words can be deeply integrated into the memory.
Like Inception.
Yes. Like, if my wife's sleeping, like, tell her what I want for breakfast. And
Yeah.
stop.
Scrambled eggs. Hash browns.
But the technology we actually have can just release the frequency, a sound that our sound waves we won't even pick up, but it's affecting us in the exact same way.
Yeah, rest assured that our phones are picking them up.
Yeah, that's the 5G. Like it goes in the alpha and beta waves of your brain, but there have been EEG studies that demonstrate that television watching converts the brain from beta wave activity to alpha waves, which are associated with daydreaming state and a reduced use of critical thinking skills.
That's why I tell people, if you're going to watch movies, like I watch movies and decode them and stuff, but if you're going to watch, these movies that Hollywood's putting out, you have to really not be watching it for entertainment purposes, but you have to be looking for stuff, hidden meanings, hidden symbolisms. As long as you're looking for those things, your brain will stay in the alpha state. It will stay focused, and you won't be subject to all this stuff that they're trying to pump into you.
Because it's your phone, this laptop, or radio, your TV. It's why you fall asleep, or you stop. You zone out, and now you're susceptible to the flashes of the symbolism.
Right.
And you're accepting it and never realizing it. No longer does man think in personal values, following his own conscience and ethical evaluations. He thinks more and more in the values brought to him by mass media. Television keeps him in continual awe and passive fixation. Consciously, he may protest against these anonymous voices, but nevertheless, they are the suggestions ooze into his system.
Yep, The Rape of Mind. Yeah.
He wrote that book, yeah.
Yeah, what a good title. That's exactly what it is.
It's exactly what it is. Exactly. So, I'm going to do another circle for you, too, because I watched your show, and I thought this would be a good stopping point, ending point. But, so remember I talked about the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services?
Yeah.
Was an intelligence agency in the United States. It's the one of the first agencies they named, and it became the CIA. But like I've been saying, the whole theme, nothing new under the sun. It's always the same, right?
Yeah.
This is a movie, OSS 117 from 1957.
I was just going to say, dude, that symbol, the tip of the spear, that's a symbol for Apollo, man.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And then it's OSS 117. No way.
So they've been doing this to you forever. Nothing new.
Yeah.
And it's a series. This isn't just the first. This is the first French film. Right? It's a whole series. This is a little description of what it is. He requested it in Claude Borsett played it. He requested a female. The main character in the OSS 117 series is a secret agent of the Office of Strategic Services, Hubert Boissonnier de la Bath, some French guy, also known by his code name OSS 117.
Wow, dude.
The series went on to 2006. Many different movies.
That's
Kind of like
crazy.
And that's where I left off here.
What a perfect slide to end the show with. Dude.
I told you we'd do a few circles, and then go back around the CERN to watch those circles. But
that is
yeah,
nuts.
So I hope I didn't sound too far out in left field or trying to, make connections that are not really there, but this is all related. It's all there.
Yeah, man. It looked, it all made sense to me, as long as people's eyes are open, they're going to hear what we have to say,
I believe so. Some people are, I don't think they're supposed to have the eyes. They keep watching their mainstream and apping away. TikToker.
Yeah, exactly. That'll rot your brain worse than drugs.
Literally, it goes along with exactly what we've been trying to say, that this AI in the internet is entities, not just technological intelligence. It's entities of demons, of the Antichrist spirits, and the more it sucks you in, the more of your soul it steals. And basically the point is, don't trust the internet, don't trust the government.
That is very sound advice, my friend.
I
Just
don't care
like
how
they used
crazy.
to tell us, you can't believe everything you see on TV. That rule still applies.
It still does, and it's like, people will say, well, why are you believing everything you see? I'm like, I'm pointing out coincidences that don't make sense. But I'm not believing the sugarcoating that goes along with it.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, that's pretty much what I had.
That was good information, man. I'm glad you brought that stuff out. People need to understand what's happening with this bioengineering and the forced medicine and
Transhumanism.
yeah, I mean, they're totally trying to make us into the image of the beast, and people need to know that, and all these little things play a role, from the fluoride to the altering of your DNA to taking the mark to all this, changing people's pheromones and creating a trans movement. Like, this is all part of it.
It all is all part of it. I don't want to say fluoride in the water is doing it, but with the tests about the frogs, yes, there's a huge population that's been affected, and they think, well, I was born this way.
Right.
You were created that way.
Like, God didn't make you that way. Yeah. The world did.
And speaking of the mark, before I leave quick, I want to show this. It's called the Fed Now service. Have you heard about that?
The what?
The Fed Now service.
Like Fed?
Yeah, like federal.
Okay. No.
Okay, so I know it was a good spot, but you mentioned the mark. I almost wanted to do another show on this. How about we do that? So basically, what it is, it's their cryptocurrency. Okay, it's the Federal Reserve launched a pilot this month in April on last Saturday, where now it'll be, you do all your business, it'll be real-time business. Like, you can get money transfers done from one account to the next on a Sunday. Okay, that's what they're portraying it, but it's to get you to take the mark of the beast. It's their digital currency, and it rolls out completely in July.
Oh, that's not good.
No, it's the death of the paper dollar and the beginning of forcing populations to take the mark.
I don't think people understand just how big of an effect destroying the paper money is going to have. They're like, well, I already do all my stuff online.
No,
Yeah, but
yeah,
this is
it's
so
not.
much different. This is
And it's
full control.
and they're controlling you to go spend your money right now to put it in their digital accounts by buying gold and silver. Like that's going to make a difference in the end.
Yeah, gold and
Because I mean,
silver will do nothing.
right. Maybe we'll get into it in more detail, but um, it's definitely not cool.
Yeah, well, if you want to bring info on the mark next on the 15th or whatever the next date we're having, the 17th, whatever it was, I put it on the thing there.
Yeah, so
Um,
it turned out. Yeah, this turned out to be a good. I ended the good slide there with a good slide, and now I'll give you a little info of some information I'm going to begin the next slideshow with.
yeah, man.
We'll talk about this and how they're going to be able to get a lot of people to take the mark.
Oh yeah, that I don't doubt one bit.
So until then,
Uh,
thanks for having me again. It's good to be here, and everybody stay vigilant, and God bless you all.
it's good to have you. Thanks for coming, buddy. God bless. All right, everybody. Never got my camera working, but that's not really relevant. Nobody really needs to see me. So, thanks everybody who showed up. Thanks all you guys that are going to watch this at a later date. And don't miss us in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about the Mark of the Beast. You're not going to want to miss that. So, take care. Until then, and God bless.